What does it look like when someone comes back from the worst season of their career and immediately takes over a Team USA training camp? Because that's exactly what Caitlin Clark just did. She walked into that gym after 8 months of recovery, and within days she was the most talked about player on the floor, hitting shots, pushing pace, and making veteran teammates look around like, okay, she's different now. So let's talk about what actually changed, what she said in her big interview, and why Fever and Team USA fans should be feeling really good right now. Let me know down in the comments below if you're excited about Clark's return.
The first feeling going to be like suiting up for the senior national team?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Like, as a kid, this is what you grow up watching. So obviously I've watched a lot of really great players, and now I think it's kind of like going to be a pinch me moment. Like, this is kind of what you dream of. And obviously, as being someone that's played for 3 junior national teams, you know, not many kids that had that opportunity get this opportunity. So just super grateful.
Picture this. You're Caitlin Clark, and the 2025 season just keeps coming at you. One injury, then another on top of that. You're watching your teammates play from the bench, or worse, from home. And every time you think you're getting close to coming back, something else happens. That's basically what Fever fans lived through last season, watching their franchise player disappear from the court for what felt like forever. The injury timeline was brutal. It wasn't one clean injury where you know exactly what you're dealing with and when you'll be back. It kept stacking, and that's the part that grinds on a player mentally more than anything else. Because you can handle one setback, you rehab, you work, you come back. But when it keeps happening, that's when doubt starts creeping in. And Clark actually said that. She said the injuries played with my mind. Now think about who's saying that. Someone who walked into the WNBA as a rookie and immediately took over. So when she admits something messed with her mentally, that's not a small thing.
I've always been a person that's gonna just rely on my work. Like, I feel like it's certainly made me work harder, but that's also probably the part that kind of stunk about it, is I felt like I put in so much time and so much energy going into last season, and then obviously I only appeared in about 13 games, and some of those probably wasn't as healthy as I probably should have been. So I think just relying on that. I think for me, like, you know, obviously I didn't have, like, it's not like I, you know, hurt my knee or, you know, tore my Achilles or something like that. Obviously, knock on wood, it was kind of these nagging injuries that continued to build up and dealt with one on top of the other. And
she opened up in a way that felt really different from how she usually talks publicly. She described not knowing when she'd feel healthy again, the frustration of the uncertainty, and just how hard it was to sit with all of that. That's a level of honesty most athletes avoid because they don't want to seem vulnerable. But she went there. Here's where it gets interesting, though. She didn't stop at "it was hard." She said she came back even better than where I was at the beginning of last season. Not back to normal. Not back to where she was. Better. That's a completely different statement, and it tells you exactly how she's framing everything that happened.
I think that was probably almost, you know, played with my mind even more than like knowing I was going to be out for a set period of time. I was like always trying to come back, and then I'd get hurt in another way. And then, you know, finally, obviously shutting it down, I've had a good, you know, 6 months or maybe more. And I think the first USA basketball camp was a great checkpoint for me, and I felt really great. Honestly, I was impressed with like how with it I felt. Like sometimes I felt like it maybe would take me a day or two to really get my first step back, but I felt like myself out there. So.
Because the work she put in wasn't just rehab. She talked about putting herself in the best possible shape I could be in at this point. And the way she said it made clear this was a full rebuild, not just getting healthy enough to play. The conditioning, the skill work, all of it. And underneath all of this is something that never really got addressed loudly, the 2024 Olympic omission. She wasn't on that roster. She never made a big scene about it, but that doesn't mean it didn't sit with her. So walking into a Team USA gym now carries a weight that goes beyond just basketball.
You know, just remind myself who I am and what I've been, and, you know, I didn't lose that, so just continue to do that.
The coaches saw it immediately. The teammates saw it. And honestly, watching the footage from those first few days of camp, you can see it too. She doesn't look like someone managing a comeback. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Most players coming back from a long injury layoff ease in. They test the water. They don't force anything. That's just the natural instinct when your body has been through it. But that's not what Clark did at this camp, and the footage makes it really obvious.
Look at that knockdown. One more time, Caitlin. Give it to him one more time. One more time. Side step. Come on, man. Smooth. Smooth as a baby's behind. Knockdown, baby. I like it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, we locked in, man. Y'all see how clean USA basketball is looking right now? Come on, man. I know it's just some chill drills. I know. Y'all can say, man, Izzy, you hyping this up a little too much. But honestly, it is just a good sight to see.
Let's talk about what this environment actually looked like. This wasn't a casual team bonding trip. 5 games in 7 days on the horizon, a roster packed with veterans and young stars all competing for roles and minutes, and Clark walking into that mix after 8 months away from competitive basketball. The intensity was real from day one, so the question everyone had going in was simple: would she be tentative? Because sometimes players come back and you can see them protecting themselves without even realizing it. The hesitation on drives, the shot fakes that used to be pull-up threes, the little things that tell you a player is still working through something mentally even when they say they feel fine. She answered that question fast. The sidestep shooting in drills was dropping clean from the jump. Not occasionally, consistently. And in 5-on-5, she was pushing pace, making quick, decisive touches, not waiting to see how things developed. The energy she brought made analysts and fans immediately start paying attention. Then there was the game winner in drills. Let's talk about that specifically because it did something to the whole camp vibe. She hit the shot, and the reaction from her teammates was immediate. High fives, celebration, the kind of energy you usually save for real games. And that matters because a made shot in practice is just a made shot, right? Except this one wasn't. That moment was a signal to her teammates, to the coaches, and honestly to herself. She's not here just trying to get through camp, she's here to compete. Paige Bueckers and Kelsey Plum both spoke up about sharing the floor with her. And when players at that level are openly saying she looks different, that carries real weight. That's not just being nice to a teammate. Those are competitors who notice things. The broader camp chemistry was something else too. Clark alongside Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, Paige Bueckers. There was this mix of young energy and veteran sharpness that felt genuinely different from previous USA camps. Someone even called it young and turnt, which honestly fits. It didn't feel like a group still figuring each other out. Here's where it gets interesting. By the end of that first week, nobody was asking if she belonged there anymore. It wasn't one big moment that settled it. It was the accumulation of small things that players and coaches notice when someone is really locked in.
I mean, I don't even think it's like necessarily maybe nerves to a certain extent, probably almost like butterflies. Like, this is a super cool opportunity. And like, if you didn't feel that way, you probably don't really care enough about it. Like, that's how I feel about it for myself. Like, this is a different stage. Like, you're not going to come out here and be the star player. That's not how it's going to be for USA basketball. Like, you're going to find a way to help the team win. You're going to find a way to compete to the best of your ability. But I think for myself, like, there's certainly a level of, I don't want to call it nerves, but excitement and joy. And I mean, I haven't played basketball in 8 months either. So getting to do it at this level for my first time back, like, there's no better way. Like, get tossed out into the fire and figure it out. But I felt really good through practice. So more than anything, just really excited. But I know day of the game, I'm going to be hyped up and probably a little anxious, but in a good way.
When Clark said, "Oh, it's going to be amazing. This is kind of what you dream of." Yeah, that sounds like something every athlete says. But put that quote next to everything she went through in 2025 and the 2024 Olympic situation, and it hits completely differently. This isn't a player reciting the standard media line. This is someone who actually had to wait for this moment in a way most players on that roster didn't. Let's talk about what she said in the interview about the USA jersey specifically. She talked about her idols in USA basketball growing up, the players she watched and wanted to be like, and how wearing that uniform connects to something she's been building toward her whole life. It wasn't just pride in the moment, it was like the moment finally caught up to something she'd been carrying for a long time. And she didn't come in with a chip on her shoulder about any of it. There was no, "I have something to prove" energy. She came in genuinely excited, and her teammates picked up on that fast. That kind of energy is contagious in a camp setting, and it's part of why the group responded to her so quickly. She was also pretty direct about 2028. She's not treating these qualifiers like the destination. This is the first step in a longer plan, and she said as much. The 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles is clearly the bigger picture driving everything she's doing right now.
Once you start those games, it's 5 games in 7 days.
Yeah.
Just how are you going to ramp up to that and just make sure?
I guess we're going to find out like really quickly, like what type of shape I'm in. And I feel like I've put myself in the best possible shape that I could be in at this point. And, you know, sometimes almost the first game is the hardest, but once you get in kind of the flow of things and you figure things out and you kind of get your wind back, you're in a little bit better of a position. But it's definitely going to be quite a few in a short period of time. But that's kind of what makes it fun. You play, and it's very similar to the WNBA. You have back-to-backs, you have 1 day in between. So I feel like that's something we're also used to. Maybe not quite the 5 games in 7 days, but that's also just international competition. So, you know, it's what I've dealt with in the past, and then going forward, hopefully for, you know, looking forward to the World Cup, if I'm not lucky enough to be on that team. Like, it's the same exact scenario with even more games. So it's great preparation for that too.
So picture this young core: Clark, Buchers, Angel Reese, Kiki Iriafen, and what USA basketball is actually building here. The veterans in camp are actively pushing that group forward, and Clark isn't just fitting into that picture anymore. She's becoming one of the anchors of it. Let's be direct about something. Everything you just watched at that Team USA camp is basically a trailer for 2026 Indiana Fever basketball, and the signals are really good. Think about what Clark is actually building right now. The confidence of hitting shots after 8 months away, the leadership reps of running a backcourt in international competition, the floor general decisions she's making in real game situations against real defenders. All of that comes back to Indiana with her. The Fever don't just get a healthy Clark in 2026. They get a Clark who spent her offseason doing this.
I remember Kara Cowan talking to us, like when me and Paige, and I know AB isn't here, but even I played with Ryan on the U19 team. Like on the junior national teams, there's only going to be like a couple of you that end up making it to make a senior debut. So whether that's the World Cup, whether the World Cup qualifier, whether that's, you know, the Olympics, every single part of it and part of the journey is really special. So I know we're a ways away even from the World Cup and obviously a ways away from the Olympics, but this is still really exciting in itself and kind of the first step in this journey.
Because here's the thing about 2025. It wasn't just hard because Clark was injured. The whole team's ceiling dropped without her running the offense. Lexi Hull couldn't do what she does best without Clark drawing defenders. Sophie Cunningham's toughness and versatility couldn't open up the way it should. The whole offensive foundation kind of just sat there. So the question for 2026 isn't only whether Clark is healthy, it's whether this group can build on the version of her that's showing up right now. And actually, let's talk about Hull and Cunningham specifically because Clark working alongside those two matters a lot. Hull developing as a reliable wing who can move without the ball, Cunningham bringing that physical edge and shot making. Those two next to a locked-in floor general version of Clark sets up something really interesting in Indiana next season. Here's where it gets interesting off the court too. Clark has been measured and team first in how she's talked about the CBA situation publicly. She hasn't been loud or divisive about it. That's not nothing. The way a player handles that kind of stuff publicly tells you something about how they handle things in a locker room. And both Team USA and the Fever are getting a leader who keeps the focus on basketball. And that floor general piece is real. At camp, it showed up in how she managed pace, how she found teammates in international-style sets, how she made quick decisions under pressure without forcing her own shot. She's always been a scorer, But the version at this camp was something more than that. But that's not all. The behind-the-scenes stuff from camp showed her personality too. The energy she brought around teammates, the reactions, the moments between drills that make people genuinely want to share a floor with her. That stuff matters in a long season. Fever fans sat through all of 2025 waiting, watching, wondering when she'd be back and what she'd look like. And now, Clark is out here saying she's not back to where she was before the injuries. She's past it. The 2025 season was a chapter that nobody wanted. But right now, watching Clark at this Team USA camp, it looks less like a setback and a lot more like setup. Here's the thing about Caitlin Clark's return. It's not just that she's healthy. The injuries, the omission, the 8 months of silence, all of it sharpened something in her that was already really sharp. And the players sharing the floor with her at this camp are the first ones to notice it. So if you're a Fever fan, a Team USA fan, or just someone who loves good basketball, these FIBA qualifiers are worth your attention. Let me know down in the comments below if you're excited about Clark's return. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.